All right, so week 3 in the books of being full-time self-employed. I almost said unemployed. Self-employed, fully diving into the business. If you haven't caught the first 2 episodes, go ahead and catch it. I don't know if you can tell, but I am just getting over like this really sore throat. So I'm glad that I'm able to actually speak today to be able to record this. But yesterday I was in bed all day. And luckily, my schedule wasn't too crazy yesterday, so I was able to not worry about having to rearrange too many things. But I wanted to make sure I can get this episode out for you today. So we're going to be talking about all the things that happened week 3 of being full-time self-employed. So one of the things that actually happened before I recorded the last episode, but really was a part of week 3, was the fact that I went to drop off all of my equipment at my day job because obviously I didn't need it anymore. I am clearly not working there anymore. So I went into the building to go drop it off, and I had timed it pretty poorly because that was also the same week that like everyone had to start working on site again. Before that, they were all working full-time telework. So now everyone was back in the building, and I arrived at the time that the whole building takes a break. So I saw a lot of familiar faces, some people that I actually got hired with back in the day, and it was very it's kind of surreal just like seeing them. It had been so long since I've seen them. I almost forgot that they worked there. Because we have about like 1,000, we have about 1,000 employees in that building. I don't even know if I could say we have because I'm not there anymore. But yeah, a lot of people were kind of just coming up to me and saying like, "What are you doing here? I thought you quit. Like I heard you quit. Are you coming back?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Girl, coming back. I literally just announced that I was quitting 1 week, like last week. Why would I be coming back all of a sudden?" Um, so I dropped off my stuff. I had my final conversation with my supervisor, and walking away from the building felt so like it felt like such an impactful moment, and it really was like, oh my gosh, like this is real. Like this is going to be the last time I'm walking away from this building, and I could literally feel myself stepping into a new era of my life. And it was so profound, and like I started to get like the rose-colored glasses a little bit. Like just think of all the good memories I did have in the building and the wonderful connections and relationships I did have in that building. But that's not to say that I am thinking about going back for sure. So I am happy to be in the place that I'm in now and to be diving full time into the business. But it really was just like a very solidifying moment that this is real. I no longer have my day job, and I'm going full time into my business and seeing where the wind blows. And so far, it's been kind of up and down. Honestly, I mean, those first couple of days when I recorded that first episode, I was like all the way lit up. If you can remember that energy, like I was so excited, and I'm still very excited, but there's definitely, now that it's been a little while since I've made the decision to quit, there's of course been kind of like the fluctuation in energy and like just belief, and it has allowed time for doubts to creep in and all of those fun things. So there have definitely been moments in this past week where it's like, oh my gosh, like am I going to be able to do anything meaningful in these next 6 months? Am I really going to be able to make things work out for myself? Like what is it all going to look like? How am I going to do that? And these are questions that every entrepreneur experiences, regardless if you're just starting or if you've been in the game for however many years. Like you are always going to be pushing yourself to new levels, and with each new level, it's like those questions come back over and over and over again. But the cool thing is that we have the power to decide how we respond to those questions and how we react to them and how much influence we allow those questions to have over us taking action. This is actually a big part of what I'm writing about in my book is, how do you overcome all of the self-doubt and the negative self-talk? Like what can you do to kind of navigate through that and allow yourself to experience those emotions and those questions, but still come out on top where you're taking action towards your biggest goals. I'm starting to feel my throat like get tired of talking. So hopefully we can make it through this episode. But speaking of my book, let's just go ahead and go into that segue. So I was looking at the timeline that was set for me by the publishing house that I'm working with, and I was supposed to actually have my initial draft submitted at the beginning of this month, and I realized that I don't even think I received any kind of communication from them regarding that next meeting. So I have to follow up with them. But at the same time, I also realized how much it doesn't feel aligned for me to push the timeline so much. Like, I would much rather have something or release something that I feel so good about and proud about or proud of than to just say that I met the deadline that I wanted to meet. And I know in the first episode, one of my goals was to release my book by September. I'm still very much hoping for that just because I love that timeline. But since this is my first time writing a book and publishing a book, like, I don't know all that goes into it. I don't know like how much time it actually takes to say, hey, here's the final manuscript, go ahead and do all the things you need to do to get it out into the world. I know for sure I'm gonna have no problem like going out there and marketing it. I'm super excited about that, doing like a podcast tour, reaching out to different media outlets to see what kind of things I can do, reaching out to different storefronts to do like book signings. I think that's gonna be so much fun. And it will be in line with our annual Bay Area Summit. Oh my God, excuse me. So I'm super excited for that part, but I just need to make sure like the time that I can actually finish writing it and go through it and feel really good about the editing. And I do want to have some beta readers. Like, I need to take that into account, and I'm not sure how long that process takes. So I would rather make sure I'm doing all of the necessary steps to make sure I'm putting out quality to get this book launched. So I'm definitely working on the book, and my goal now is to, I'm very much like a night worker. I would rather stay up late working as opposed to waking up early and getting some things done before all the kids wake up. Like, my body just doesn't function that way. So I've made a commitment to myself that if I am going to be working once the kids are down in bed, at least at minimum 30 minutes of that time needs to be dedicated towards this book. So notice how I didn't have the rigidity of I need to work 30 minutes every single night on this book. Like, I know just realistically in my life and the way that it is with 3 kids, I can't always guarantee that I'm going to be able to sit with my computer late at night. So my goal again is to, if I do end up pulling out my computer after the girls and boy, after the kids are asleep, 30 minutes at minimum of that time is going to be dedicated to looking at what I've currently written. And I've been doing that, and I feel really, really good so far. So in the beginning, like, the way that I had started writing this book, I was, of course, getting just so overwhelmed. Like, how do I even like come up with this much content, enough content to fit into a book, or to like create the length of a book? And so I tried a couple of different strategies, and one of them was, of course, just like typing things that came to mind. And then I know that my best like verbiage and language and like golden nuggets come when I'm just speaking genuinely from whatever kind of download I'm receiving in the moment. So what I started doing, as opposed to just forcing myself to sit for 15 minutes to just type, like, I would voice note to myself if I'm having some kind of like pep talk to myself and I'm like, oh, this is really good. I start recording myself. And I had gone to an event out in Fresno last year, and it was literally a 3-hour drive. So I recorded myself speaking for about 2 of those hours, and I got a decent amount of content. So up until this point, up until the past couple of weeks, I was kind of nervous to look at what my quote unquote initial draft looked like, because it was just like this hodgepodge of voice notes and that 2-hour long recording of, I don't even remember what I covered in that recording. So now I'm in this space of, let me go ahead and go in and start organizing it all and see what I have to play with and start getting more of a structure in place. Then I can go back in and start adding into it. So far, I like what I've written, and I think we're in a really, really good path. So I'm excited to see what it turns into and to be able to like read the rest of what I have down, because I honestly, I'm not even sure what I've recorded and put in there, but it's going to be so good. So if you plan on pre-ordering the book, drop a comment, let me know. I'm super excited. It's basically going to be like your back pocket Bible. I don't even know if I can say that. Let me know how you feel about me calling it, referring to it as a Bible, because genuinely, I have that question. But basically, you'd be able to reach to this book whenever you are having that negative self-talk, all of the doubts, all of the fear. You can come into this book, and it's like me giving you a little pep talk. So you have your business bestie right in your back pocket. That's what this book is going to be all about. And I'm super excited for it. I'm so like, this is what I'm so passionate about, and what I realized I'm so passionate about over the past few years, because especially like going into my own professional speaking journey, trying to figure out like what kind of speaker do I want to be. And I really want to be like keynote, inspirational, motivational speaker, where I'm thinking like a big picture, pushing you out of your comfort zone. I'm not, as much as I love teaching and I love being able to like facilitate workshops, like the big picture motivational thing is like the side that I really, really love. So this book fits perfectly in line with that. And this is also going to support my speaking journey, because my plan is to, of course, continue to book speaking gigs, but then be able to have these books with me to be able to sell on site at whatever events I'm invited to speak at. So for those of you that are in the speaking world, and you're kind of going through that journey with me, obviously I haven't been doing it for very long, so I can't speak to the more seasoned speakers out there, but there are multiple ways that you can make revenue from speaking engagements. One, of course, being paid to actually speak, but there are a lot of conferences out there that don't have the budget for that. Ours included. I definitely want to get to the point where we can start paying our speakers. That's something that's really important to me. So I want to be able to get to that point, which is why I'm heavily leaning into figuring out how to bring on more larger monetary sponsors this year. So I will keep you updated on all of that. But I know that it's not realistic for a lot of businesses. And at the same time, if there are brands that are putting together different summits and conferences and their values and mission is really aligned to that of mine, like I will happily speak for free. And then what you can do afterwards is offer the chance or ask for the chance to sell whatever it is that you have to sell, your service, your product. In my case, we have both the community, and then I would have this book. So that's just another way to bring in revenue from what technically would be an unpaid speaking opportunity. But I am trying to limit myself to how many unpaid speaking opportunities I'm at. I want to do at least one a month this year. I don't know if I've said that already, but just to be able to put in the reps. So I was supposed to do one yesterday. I'm going to go off on another little segue, but obviously I was not feeling up for it. And the cool thing was, on Monday, when I knew I wouldn't be able to make it Tuesday, which was yesterday for me, I reached out to one of our girls, Terry, who I knew would be there and who I know has been leaning more and more into her speaking journey. And I reached out to her and said, hey, do you want to take my spot? Like, would you be interested? And this speaking engagement was really cool because it's really a safe space to practice your speaking. It's not anything super formal. It's just a bunch of people coming to network and to practice speaking if they feel called to do it. And Terry has just been on this really incredible journey of just everything that she's doing with her business. And honestly, just this beautiful journey personally and professionally. So shout out to you, Terry, for listening. But she has really, really stepped into pushing herself past her boundaries and figuring out like how can she continue to incorporate her story into what it is that she does, and she's recognizing the power of that. And I mean the same for me too, but it's so cool to be able to just like witness the transformations of all the women in our community like in real time. So she decided to go for it. And I love what she says. She's always saying, you know, I always tell myself to just do it scared. And I did it scared. And I'm so proud of myself. And oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her. She did amazing. And it was her first time, like really vulnerably sharing her story. And that is not an easy thing to do. So for any of you that are out there that are listening, that have a story on your heart that you're wanting to tell, let this be your sign that there are safe places to do it. And the world is waiting to hear that story. And it doesn't have to come out so polished in the beginning. Just let it come out real and authentic, and allow yourself the time and space to kind of just watch the playback, sit with it, reflect on it, and be almost detached from it, where don't beat yourself up about what you may or may not have done wrong, right? Again, if it's your first time, it's not going to look pretty. I remember my first talk, I would redo that whole thing completely, but I'm so proud of the fact that I've done it. And now look at where it's brought me, right? Because I took that first step. And the first step is always going to be the scariest, and it's not going to be the prettiest, but it's such an important step to get you to where you want to go. So, that's what's happening in our community. We are constantly pushing each other and putting each other in different places where otherwise we might not have been, trying to figure out on our own, right? So if you are looking for that kind of community, looking for that kind of encouragement and support, join Empowered by Women. I don't know what you're waiting for, because this community is full of just badass women that truly, truly, truly do just want to see you win. Matter of fact, I'm wearing my sweater right now that says, "Girl, I just want to see you win," and we mean that. So come hang out with us. Okay, so what else happened during my third week? You know what was like really contributing to like the fluctuation in my energy levels was this spring market that we had. We partnered with a private school out in San Francisco. It was our first San Francisco event, which was really exciting. But then it was also a market, which I've kind of not been excited to do lately, just because it takes so much work on the back end. And in this world today, like the markets have been very hard. And I know that there are still so many vendors out there looking for great markets to be a part of, but organizing them is not easy. And it's hard to be profitable, really. And I've seen some larger markets that have been established for years and brought in hundreds of vendors and thousands of attendees. Like even they're shutting down because they're not making profit. So I'm kind of in this tricky place of, do I want to keep pushing these markets? And what does that look like? I know for myself, I don't want to be the one organizing it, because I know that even though I excel at organizing it, it's not my zone of genius. It's not what lights me up, and it's not what fuels me to keep on going. It's something that's very draining to me, and I recognize that, and I want to be able to honor what my body is telling me. So moving forward, I do have a couple of gals that want to take over our markets. So I'm in the process of really figuring out what that looks like and creating the structure behind it so that our girls can go ahead and take over our markets. And that's still something that we offer, but it's still kind of like just an interesting time of trying to navigate, like, how do we continue offering these markets where it's both profitable for us, but then also profitable for our vendors and makes sense for them and gives them value. Because at the end of the day, we're here to support these small business owners. Like, this is not just a cash grab for us. Matter of fact, it's kind of like It's like the opposite. These markets are a lot of work for not that high of a return. And I have done other things that provide a much higher return with much less effort. But again, I know it's something that our community is looking for and needs to be able to connect with their communities and to build their brand awareness. So it's not something that I'm ready to give up completely. But that was a big part of what I was pouring my time and energy into these past couple of weeks, because the first 2 months of the year were just like absolute chaos. And even though I knew that we were having this event in March, I honestly just literally did not have the time and capacity to plan it the way that I had planned it. And so part of me was like, once I did have time to plan it, I realized we were only like a few weeks out, and I was starting to like freak out and kind of beat myself up about, oh my gosh, like I haven't planned anything. This is going to be miserable, blah, blah, blah. And I was going through that phase, that we all go through of, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. Like, what a nightmare. I shouldn't have said yes to this, blah, blah, blah. And it led me to a realization, because I had already made a commitment to the school. They were so excited for it because they had never done anything like this. And that it was something that they were really excited to be able to bring to their families. So there was also that added pressure, because I didn't want to let them down and be like, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, you have like 2 vendors here. So I kept on pushing, and I'm a person that thrives under pressure, although I am also trying to relieve some of that pressure and not take it on intentionally. So I kept pushing up until the very last minute, trying to get our food truck, trying to get our face painter, trying to get a story time person, trying to bring in all of these different elements that I had already promised to them. Because at the beginning, when we're in the planning stage and you don't know who you're able to bring on yet, it was all like, oh, we could do this and we can do this. So we had our flyer, and it literally said story time and face painting on there. And we were a few weeks out, and I didn't have either of those things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what? What am I going to do? And I could have easily just folded and been like, you know what, like, I wasn't able to get anyone on. No one is going to say yes at this point. Like, we're only a couple weeks out. All the vendors are booked, blah, 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 blah. And I could have given myself a million reasons of why it wasn't going to work out and why I should just call it quits. But that's not who I am. And so I kept pushing, and I kept reaching out to different people. And guess what happened? We got our last minute face painter literally a few days before the event. We got her solidified. We even brought a petting zoo into the mix, which was a huge hit. We got the food truck, and we got one of our vendors who applied maybe like a week and a half before the event, who was an author of a children's book. I don't even know how she found me. So the universe clearly was on my side, but she found us. And I said, absolutely, you're accepted. Do you want to do a story time? She said yes. So now we are checking off all of those boxes. And all of that happens within the last couple of weeks, right before the event. So this is your reminder that you can still make magic happen up until the final. I was trying to think of a really good metaphor. The 1 yard line. I don't know. Does that make sense? Up until the last second, when you have 4 seconds on the clock, 4 seconds on the clock, right? Clearly, I'm not a sports person, so I don't even know why I'm trying to dive into that route, into that realm with my metaphors and my analogies. But you can keep pushing and working to make it the best event that you can make it, whatever it is that you're working on. Don't give yourself the opportunity to call it quits if you still have time and resources available to you. And more likely than not, you do. So don't give yourself the opportunity to just fall victim to all of these excuses that we will always give ourselves, because those are just excuses. And you really have the power to say yes or no to them, right? You really have the power to accept that as truth or as a falsity. My brain is not working. For me, I knew that was not the truth, that I had to accept what we had 3 weeks out. I knew that was not the case. I knew there were options. I just had to find the options. And at the end of the day, the event went beautifully. It was a full house of vendors. We got all the specific vendors that we wanted to get. The families absolutely loved it. But again, like, it wasn't a moneymaker for me. And my word of the year is profit. So I am trying to really figure out what can that look like moving forward. The school really, really wants to have us back, and I would love to be able to continue offering it to them. But at the same time, I need to honor my time, just as we all do. And I can't do it for free. It's just too much time, too much of a headache, too much in the background to be able to organize to not come out with any kind of ROI. We did get a member from it, so that's always a good thing, to be able to like actually connect with the vendors and get the members. So that is what I'm leaning into for sure. Oh my gosh, sorry, I have to keep stopping to like have a quick sip. But that's what I'm leaning into for sure as like one of our strategies moving forward, is using these markets, if we continue to do them, as a funnel into the membership. Like, that was already the plan. But now realizing like it might just keep getting harder and harder to make these markets profitable. At the very least, they can be a funnel into our membership, and to just get vendors just aware of our platform and want to be part of what we're building. Okay. The next thing that was really exciting that we did last week was I got to be a part of Live in the Bay on Cron 4. So it's a live TV segment. It was only about a 5 to 6 minute live recording, but it was so much fun. And I was just like super pumped for it. So a little backstory to this. I had applied to this literally twice last year. And I think the first time I was applying for my product line, and the second time I was applying for Empowered by Women, but also we probably had like 30 members at the time. So I'm so glad it didn't actually happen when I actually applied. But I applied twice. I never heard back. I didn't get any kind of confirmation. So I don't know if like their form was just like not effective. They didn't have any systems in place, whatever the case may be, but I never heard back. And clearly I was never on their segment last year. So this year I saw 2 of our members that happened to work together directly also were on Live in the Bay just a few weeks ago. So Alina LeBlanc of LeBlanc Label, she's this amazing fashion stylist. If you guys need one, shout out to her. Go check her out. She's amazing. So she was on the segment. And then like literally a week or 2 later, one of our other members and Alina's client, Allie Hall, who is an incredible painter and does all of these beautiful nature scenery paintings, was also on the segment. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. This is a sign. And so I literally reached out to them via DMs and I said, hey, I applied to you a couple of times last year and never heard back. I'm still very interested. So how do we get this started? And I literally got a response saying, hey, send me your pitch. Here's my email. And it was that simple. Took her email, sent her an email saying, hey, this is what I would love to talk about. We have a community platform that's designed to support women entrepreneurs. I would love to bring on different products from some of the members in our community and highlight them during my segment. And then she literally gave me 3 different dates for the same month. Okay, this was this month that I reached out to her, and it's Women's History Month. So I was like, I would love to be able to do it this month if you have availability. And she gave me 3 dates within this month, and I picked one, and I was like, okay, cool, we're rolling with it. This is amazing. And I want this to be your reminder that when people don't respond to you, it could be very well that they're just simply blatantly ignoring you. It could be that they saw your message and they intended to get back to you and they haven't been able to get around to it, or that they didn't even realize that you reached out to them to begin with. So there is so much value in the follow-up. If you are not a person that follows up, you are leaving so much opportunity, so much money on the table, because you need to follow up as a professional. I'm sure you've had times where you needed a little nudge, a little reminder, because someone reached out to you asking for something and it completely slipped your mind. Okay, it happens to everyone else too. We have to keep in mind that everyone lives such busy lives that we're not always at the forefront of their minds. So we need to sometimes be the ones to nudge them to say, hey, don't forget, I exist. Put me into, whatever it is whatever kind of opportunity you're trying to get into. But being the one to put yourself back to the top of their mind, like that is your responsibility as an entrepreneur. So I reached out, and it was not like they had rejected me or ignored me or whatever. They simply did not see my requests, multiple requests somehow, but then I was able to get on a couple weeks later. Isn't that incredible? So now what we're doing for our members is we are streamlining the process for them so that they're not having to do all the follow-ups, and we are sharing their pitches on their behalf and sending it directly to our contact. So that is part of what you get when you're part of the Empowered by Women community. Any door of opportunity that opens up for me opens up for you. And I mean that wholeheartedly. So if I'm getting on TV, I'm going to see who else I can bring with me on TV. So that's definitely our path moving forward. I'm very much leaning into what other media platforms are looking for segments like this, because we want to get on there. We want to build our visibility and also help you build your visibility. So I was super excited for that. Again, it was super, super quick. The tips that I would have for any of you would just be to have your message kind of rehearsed already. Think of what are some of the easy, common questions that they might ask you, and have that answer already pre-planned out so you're not fumbling over your message in such a short segment. Again, it was a 5 to 6 minute segment, so it wasn't like I could just be there and no, you have very little time to get your message across. So something as the scale of this being on a live TV segment, you really want to make sure that you're prepared for it and not just winging it. And I also had products with me. So what did I do with the products? I brought my own props to make sure the products could stand up and be seen by the camera. I didn't assume that they would have it. And I also didn't want to be someone that asked too much of them, because they were already allowing me to come and be a part of their segment, right? They were offering it for free. And I didn't want to just be a very needy person. I wanted to have everything that I needed to have to support my segment. So I brought my own props. I got the products ready. I knew exactly what I was going to say. I had mentally prepared for other random backup questions that I feel like maybe they would ask me if we got around to it. And some of them they did ask. And so as soon as they asked, I just knew exactly how to respond. Excuse me. So that is my tip for you if you're looking to get in any kind of a media segment like that. But even just in general, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just rehearse what your message is. And the more and more that you say it, the more clarity you get. I've gotten so much clarity over these past couple of years of constantly talking about our community that I could talk about it on a whim on any day. So the cool thing was that me going into this segment, it was my very first live TV segment, but I didn't feel afraid of it at all, just because it felt like it was so normal for me to just speak about our community. The only difference was that there was just a million cameras around all of a sudden. But when you're truly passionate about what it is that you're doing, it just flows off your tongue. So if you haven't watched the segment, you can go onto cron4.com and then just look up my name or look up our brand name and you'll be able to pull it up. So shout outs to all of the brands that we were able to share during that segment. It really was such a fun time. All right, I think I'm over the 30-minute mark, but one last thing that I'm working on now for this week and this past week is getting all my finances in order. I don't know about you all, but that is not my favorite. But I know that I want to get really, really good at it because I know that I want to scale this business, and I know that I'm only going to be able to scale it if I have a really good handle on my numbers, what's coming in, what's going out, and where is it all actually going out to? What can I expect to pay for different fees, taxes, all of that. I want to get really, really good at it and understand like what deductions I can have, all that good stuff. So I'm working with this really amazing CPA woman out of Southern California. And I was really intentional about finding someone that would work with me to go through our books together, right? Or go through my books together. Because I don't want to just hand it off to someone and not understand the behind the scenes of what's happening. And I think that's what makes a really successful business, when you as the founder or the CEO has a really good handle on what those numbers look like, so that you can make more informed decisions moving forward. That is my goal. So we literally were on a call on Monday for like 2.5 hours, just like going through my accounts, because it's been mashup last year, because I had my product line and Empowered by Women combined into like one account. I finally started separating everything out last year, but it was like towards the end of last year. And that's because Empowered by Women wasn't started with the intention of it turning into a business. It was literally, I think I promoted it as like a community platform presented by BOOKofBIJOUX, where it was just kind of like an extension of BOOKofBIJOUX, but then clearly it's taken on a life of its own. So it just made sense to get its own LLC. And so I started a lot of the formalities of it last year, but now I'm having to go back and like sort through all of the different transactions and expenses and everything, to divide it up between the two businesses and really set myself up for success this year in terms of having a better handle on what all the numbers look like, so that, like I said, I can make better decisions moving forward of where should I be spending more of my time, what should I be really looking at in terms of scaling to bring in more profit and all that good stuff. Like what subscriptions do I currently have that I don't even need or use? I already found one of those. I was spending like, I think like $30 on this virtual mailbox, $30 a month. And my CPA was like, that's really expensive. And I was like, is it? I don't know. I kind of just like on a whim, like said, okay, sure, I need one of those, and then started paying for it. But I didn't do any research to see what other options were out there. But I know that there are cheaper options out there. So all of these finer details I know are what is going to support a really successful business. So I want to be really clear on that. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, getting back all my things back to my CPA. It's literally the last week of March. So I know I'm kind of a little bit behind, but she has some tax people that might help me get filed on time. I had someone previously last year that I worked with, but I don't know, I felt kind of rocky. I wasn't sure how I felt about working with her. And like I said, I want to work with someone that I know I can feel really comfortable learning from. Like, I don't want it to just be like, here's all my things. Like, I want that person to also be very intentional about teaching me so that I can have a good understanding of all the things. So I think that goes for any of us, that before you delegate, you really have to understand what it is that you're delegating so you can understand if the quality is there, right? And if it's a good fit for you. So that's week 3. I think we're on a good path. I'm excited to start feeling so much better, and I will chat with you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.